Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel and thank you for watching my tutorial. I'm Jan and this is Jan's Stampin' Cafe, where I share my passion for paper crafting and I hope to inspire you to create. And I hope you'll share your projects on Jan's Stampin' Cafe Facebook page. Click that button over here in the corner and subscribe and give me a thumbs up. I'd really appreciate it. I'm going to make more gift bags today. I'm continuing on with my journey of cleaning up all of the paper I have in my stash in my craft room, and I am still working on Christmas. So I got this pack of paper out. This pack is from Stampin' Up, and it has, double-sided papers, and I had several pieces left, and you can see this one was, loved a little bit, but it needs some more love. So we're going to use up these papers. In the past, we had made this larger gift bag, and today I'm going to show you how to make this smaller gift bag. This one measures 7 by 6. This one measures 9 by 8. This was covered in a previous tutorial, so I'm going to set this aside. Now you can see inside here I have more bags that I've done in this size, and yes, I have bags in a bag. And these are the remaining pieces from my Anna Griffin pad that I said was so heavy. Stampin' Up paper is substantial and will make a nice sturdy gift bag for you. Again, the gift bag we make today will fold flat for easy storage, and then you can make a quick little tag. This will take about a sheet and a half of your 12 by 12 paper. Today's bag is courtesy of Amanda Fowler in the UK. She's a fellow demonstrator. Let's get started on this bag. All right, so first of all, you'll need a 9.5 by 12 sheet of paper. And if you have a direction on your pattern, you want the direction to go up and down the 9.5 direction. This is my 12-inch width from here to here. And you can see that all I had to do was cut a strip off the bottom of my piece, and that gave me my 9.5. This strip is useful for our covering up the ends of our handles inside. We'll show you that in a moment. But if you don't use it for that, you can make a tag out of it. The next piece we need would be 9.5 by 6. And again, you want your 9.5 direction to go up and down, your 6 to be the width. The next piece you'll need is 5 7/8 across by 1 1/4 to 1.5 inches. Now the reason it's not a definite measurement is because remember I said I cut this off the bottom of my first piece of paper, and when you cut 9.5 off of 12, you're left with just enough for 1 1/4 width here. So if you have an additional scrap that might be suitable to get 1.5 inches instead of 1 1/4, that would be optimal, but we can certainly get by with the 1 1/4. And when I apply this to the bag, I am going to turn it over so that I can utilize that two-sided feature of my paper. And then I did have another piece of paper left in that package, and I just die cut that. This is a flocked piece, and I layered it up on some cardstock for my tag. I found this little package of cute snowmen that I had purchased who knows when, and of course they weren't getting any love in the stash drawer, so we're going to use one of those on our tag. And I've told you before that I do have a little dish over here on my desk where I keep some stray die cuts that just haven't gotten any love, and every now and then they come in handy, and that's where my snowflake came from. I can't honestly remember which set I cut this from. And finally, we'll need handles, and I'm going to show you how to make these paper handles today. Instead of cutting ribbon, we're going to make some handles out of paper. You'll also need a skewer or something really small to roll your paper on. With our two pieces of paper, 9.5 by 12 and 9.5 by 6, we will start scoring. On the 12-inch side, with the top of your paper being at the top of the score tool, we are going to score at 1/2 inch all the way down, at 3 inches, (9 inches), and 11 1/2. You will rotate your paper clockwise 90 degrees. And now this is the top of your paper. And now we will score at 2.5 inches all the way down. Okay, there's our first piece. Now with your 9.5 by 6 inch piece of paper, rotated sideways, the top of my paper is here. I'm going to score at 2.5. All the way down. Okay, that's all the scoring we need to do. So let's fold on all these score lines and burnish in our folds. This piece is going to make your front and sides. The other piece will be your back. And did you notice we did not score any little triangles anywhere? We are going to make this a fold flat bag without doing that scoring. I'm going to work from the back side of my paper. I don't know if you can see those score lines as well, but that's what I'm accustomed to. I have score line at the 1/2 inch in mark here, and then I have a score line which I didn't score or fold. There we go. And I want to trim off this rectangle right here. So I'm going to cut on this score line up to the very first score line here. All right? And we're going to trim that rectangle completely off. And while we're there, we'll take a small wedge off the side of this tab right here. All right? Next, we'll cut up this score line only to our first one. All right? This is the bottom of your bag now. You'll see that as we keep cutting, it will take shape. Now, this is our fold-in flap, and we do want to take just a little wedge off of both sides of that. And the reason for that is that it will help everything come together squarely and not have any overhang once you close everything in. All right, moving across, we're going to cut up this score line again to the first score line. And on the end here, we're going to cut this rectangle completely off. And then we'll take a little wedge off the bottom of this tab. And we need to come back and take a little wedge off both sides of this fold-in tab. Make sure you end at the score line. You don't want to go beyond the score line because then you will have an opening on your bag. So there we go. On this bag, I'm using liquid glue today. The last bag I did, I used the tear and tape, and that works out just great. It's whichever adhesive you prefer to use. I just thought I would show you two different kinds. Now quickly, before I start gluing, I want you to take note of the shape of my large piece here. What I'm going to do next is glue this panel over this tab. Or I could put it on this side. It doesn't make any difference which side you start with first. And I'm left-handed, so I work backwards compared to everybody else. So I'm starting over here on the right. So I'm going to add some of the Tombow glue here to my tab. Now, you want to make sure that you get enough glue, but don't be too overly zealous with it that it starts oozing out everywhere. It gets a little messy if you do that. And I have also found that if I let my Tombow glue sit for a couple of minutes, just like this, that it doesn't squish and get quite as messy. All right, so now we're going to bring this panel to the tab. I want to be sure that I'm matching the top to the top of the bag, and I want to match this panel to my score line. And if you've scored accurately, this score line will meet up with this score line. If you need to sacrifice something, we'll match up the score line here at the bottom for sure, and we would trim to even off at the top, okay? So I'm just bringing those two together, and you'll notice, see, I have that wiggle room when I use glue. When I use the tape, I need to be accurate when I'm placing it down. I don't want any mistakes with the glue, with the tape. Okay, and it looks really good. So before we can add these handles, I want to show you how to make them. What you'll need is a piece of regular old copy paper. And you don't have to cut this so that it's perfect, but I had it laying in my trimmer, so I did. This is an 8.5 by 11 sheet, and I cut it in half on the 4 1/4 mark. So I get 2 handles from 1 sheet. Well, you'll need a skewer or something very, very small that you can start rolling with. If you have really nimble fingers, you can do this without, but I find that my fingers need a little bit of help getting started here. So I'm going to make sure this is in frame, and I'm just going to bring the tip of that, the corner tip of that paper around the skewer and roll it up a little bit. And I want that to stay snug around the skewer. Now I'm going to keep rolling this, and I want it to stay snug. Now, if you'll notice, I am not roll. I'm going to undo this so you can see where my corner is. My corner is right here, and I am not rolling this paper so that the corner goes this way. I'm rolling the paper so that the corner will go this way. The less angle you put on it, the better, because you want to keep the length of your paper, and you also want to twist this a little bit as it's going. So I'm going to try to keep this as tight as I can around the skewer. You see the angle that it's at? The corner is really up here. And I'm just going to keep rolling it. And I'm learning that the more times I do this, the better I get at it. Now, I do not want that skewer to stay in there, so I'm going to have to get it out. And now I'm going to re-roll my paper here. And I'm going to take just a little dot of glue, and we'll roll that up tight. And I'll just hold on to it for a minute while it sets up. Now that your glue is dry, you are going to smash this handle down on the table. Just flatten it out, press it down. Okay, this is smashed down flat. And now what you're going to do is, starting in the middle, you're not just going to fold it over. You want to gently work it so that it will bend. And you just keep working it until you get all the way down each side. Give this a little bit of a twist as I bend it. We'll be gluing these down into the bag like this. So you want to make 2 of these, and then when you're done, the exact measurement is not important, but you do want them to be the same. So what I've done with mine is I prepped them all up, and then I cut them off at the same length here. And so now I'm just going to rebend that a little bit. If you want to have your handles match your paper, the paper of your bag, you can apply some ink to that paper, you know, just while it's flat before you roll it up, and then you can have matching handles. My print, of course, has the white on it, so I'm happy with that today. So those are our handles, and now this is the bottom of our bag. I want to turn it so that I am working at the top of the bag here, and I'm going to take a ruler, and we're going to do a little bit of measurement. Not much, just a little bit. This is my fold here, and here's my other fold. Now I want to make sure that my handles are centered, so I'm going to measure in 1 1/4 inches from each side. So here's a little 1 1/4 inches, and I put a light pencil mark, and then 1 1/4 inches from this side, another light pencil mark. Moving over to the back of the bag now, or the front of the bag I should say. Now I will again measure from my score line 1 1/4 inches over with a little light pencil mark, and repeat that over here. Okay, the next step is to attach our handles to the bag. I'm using tape because it'll stick right away. I don't have to wait for glue to dry. So we'll put tear and tape at the bottom of each handle. And you don't want to put more than 1 1/4 inches of tape on your handles. The reason being that they are going to sit like this inside your bag. We have these lining pieces that are going to cover up where we have attached our handles so that we get a nice neat finish here. I'm going to turn mine so that it matches the inside, and then it won't be nearly as visible. We can't put these lining pieces on just yet because we still have a flap over here that we need to close. So we'll go ahead and we'll attach the handles themselves, It's just easier to do as much as you can while the bag is open. These paper handles are good and strong, so you just need to bend them. We'll give them a little twist here. There we are. And you want to make sure that those are in there straight this direction, okay? I should be able to just fold my bag over and have that edge line up with my tab, okay? So you want to check that before you put your glue on. And you could lay it this way too, it doesn't matter. I think I like laying it this way because I have a little paper on both sides to work with. All right, so I'm going to put some glue on here. And again, I want it to the fold line, but don't want to be too messy with it. Don't want it squishing out underneath. And if that's a concern for you, you can always take a scrap of paper and lay it underneath here like so. And align your edges with the fold and your score line at the bottom. And again, like I said, we have a little bit of wiggle room there. See, I'm off just a teeny tiny shade down there, so my cutting was just a little bit awry. But that will be fine. I can take my scissor and trim that up right now. There we go. All right, now we're ready to put the liner on our handles inside here. And like I said, I want to have the tree on the outside, so I'm just going to apply my glue to the snowman side. This is 5 7/8 of an inch, so you should have a little bit of a gap with your paper. You see there's a little bit of gap left there. When you put that inside, you'll have plenty of room for your folds to fold back and forth. And again, I have wiggle room, so if I didn't match up perfectly, I can do that now. Because this is glue and my handles are kind of thick, I'm just going to hold on to those for a minute so that they dry a little bit more. Okay, it's had a minute. Now I'm going to take my bone folder and just press down those handles so they're nice and flat. Okay, there's one side done. Let's do the other side. We'll do the same thing here. I wanted to use glue on this bag to show you the process, and I think that when this glue dries, it gets hardened and it gives you an even more firm edge on your bag. All we have to do now is close in our bag bottom. Now, to do that, you want to locate the front of your bag. The front of your bag is going to be the one that has the folds at the sides. I'm going to put the front panel face down on the table. I'm looking at the back panel now. What we're going to do is fold this bottom flap in first, and that will cover up these flaps from being seen on the inside. That gives you a much neater finish in your bag. Now, while I'm doing this, I push the bottom flap in, and it kind of holds the bag square while I put glue on the flaps. And you don't need to be really fussing over making this stick and be straight right now. We just really want to tack these flaps up to the bottom flap. It doesn't have to be perfect just yet. We'll add some more glue over here and tack that one in, and now glue to the very front flap. And by having that front flap fold underneath, it gives the front of the bag a really nice finish. All right, now we have our bag ready to stand up. All I'm going to do is stand the bag up on that flap and set it down. Press that glue in, stand your bag up, put your hand in, and smooth out that bottom. And you'll notice as you're looking and smoothing in your bag that you don't have any flaps visible in there. What a nicely finished bag. This is a nice enough bag. It could have come from one of the top shops. So I'm just revisiting my bottom, looking at it, trying to make sure that it's square. There we go, and we'll just press that in, and I'm going to hold that up for a moment. While that's drying, we'll work on our tag. You remember I said I just took some pieces of cardstock and layered them together here, and then we'll put our snowman on there. such a cute and easy tag. Wow. So glad I found those little things in my stash. All right, now before we tie this on the bag, we need to fold it flat. Now you need to locate your front from your back, and I like to work with the front facing me. You're just going to push the sides in with your forefinger and match up the other sides while you bring them together and press. And just sort of walk your fingers down the sides, pressing as you go. And then you'll get to a point where you need to do something with these sides. So I just push them in a little bit, making sure they're smooth. And continue walking my fingers down the side until it will go no further. And then push everything to the back. And now you have a fold flat gift bag. I'm just going to take my bone folder and press on these triangles that were formed. And we have the same folds here that we did on the other bag when we created scored lines on the sides. And you recall on the other bag that we scored this, and then we had other score lines that we drew in. Well, this time we didn't have to do that. We just forced it down after the bag was made. So there you go. We'll tie our tag on. We are good to go. What a darling little gift bag. And I'm happy I'm using up my supplies. Well, I'm going to keep going on these. I have enough for probably 4 more bags from this pack of paper. And this is just such a lovely little bag. I'm so happy that I have made these. I've been able to use up my forgotten paper and make room for new. And I think these bags would be just a great gift, you know, a bag of bags. And you could always sell them as an item in a craft fair. They're nicer than any bags that you would find in any high-end card shop. Thank you for watching my tutorial. I'll leave the measurements in the description box below. Please give me a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. I'll be back with another tutorial soon.